stop scrolling, not because you're addicted, but because this next sentence is about you. You're not here by accident. You didn't end up on this video. You were guided here, predicted, profiled, and the fact that you're still watching already proves it worked. You're about to tell yourself, this is exaggerated, that this is just another dramatic take, that you already know all of this. That reaction, that's not skepticism, that's defense. Because if this is true, then the problem isn't the system, it's your participation in it. You want to believe you're being controlled, because being controlled means you're not responsible. It means none of this is your fault. But here's the uncomfortable part you keep avoiding. The system doesn't need to force you. It never did. It only needs you to choose comfort over awareness, speed over depth, reaction over thought. And you've been choosing it every single day without ever calling it what it is. A choice. You're still pretending you didn't choose this. That's the first lie you tell yourself every single day, and you've gotten so comfortable with it that you don't even notice anymore. You opened the app, you scrolled, you clicked, you gave them your attention, your time, your emotional bandwidth, and you did it willingly. Nobody forced your thumb to move. Nobody held a gun to your head and demanded you refresh the feed one more time. You did that. You made that choice, and then you made it again and again and again, until it stopped feeling like a choice at all. But it was. Every single time it was. You want to believe you're a victim of manipulation, that these systems are so powerful and so insidious that you never stood a chance. But that's just another way of avoiding what you already know. You built this cage yourself, one click at a time, and you keep walking back into it every morning because it's easier than admitting you're afraid of what's outside. You think you're aware. That's the second lie, and it's more dangerous than the first because it gives you permission to keep going. You've read the articles, you've watched the documentaries, you've nodded along to the essays about dopamine loops and engagement metrics and the attention economy, and you've told yourself that understanding the machine means you're somehow immune to it, but you're not. Understanding doesn't protect you. It just makes you feel smarter while you do the exact same thing everyone else is doing. You know the feed is designed to keep you scrolling. You know the algorithm is learning from every hesitation, every second you linger, every post you almost skip but don't. You know all of this, and yet here you are, still feeding it, still training it, still offering up your behavioral data like it's some kind of involuntary reflex. It's not involuntary. You're complicit. You've always been compliant. And the worst part is you've convinced yourself that your compliance is inevitable. You tell yourself you need it. That's the third lie, and it's the one that keeps you locked in place. You need it for work. You need it to stay informed. You need it to keep in touch with people you barely think about and wouldn't call, even if something actually mattered. You've built an entire infrastructure of justifications, and every one of them is designed to protect you from the truth, which is that you don't need any of this. You want it. You crave the feeling of being connected, even when that connection is shallow and transactional and completely one-sided. You crave the validation that comes from seeing a number go up, from knowing that someone somewhere acknowledged your existence for half a second before moving on. You've outsourced your sense of worth to a system that was never designed to care about you, and now you can't imagine functioning without it. That's not need, that's dependency, and you chose it. The algorithm doesn't control you. It just knows you better than you know yourself, and you've given it everything it needs to keep you exactly where you are. Every click is a confession. Every scroll is a revelation. You're telling it what you fear, what you want, what you can't stop thinking about, and it's listening in ways you'll never fully understand. It doesn't have to force you to do anything because you're already doing it. You're already seeking out the content that confirms what you already believe, that makes you feel something, anything, even if that feeling is outrage or despair or hollow amusement. You think you're in control because you can choose what to click, but the choices you're given were shaped by every decision you made before this one. The feed is a mirror, and what you see in it is a version of yourself you've been training into existence without ever questioning whether that's who you actually want to be. You've normalized the surveillance. That's the part you don't want to talk about, because talking about it means admitting how much you've surrendered without a fight. You know your data is being collected. You know your behavior is being analyzed, packaged, and sold. You know that every interaction you have is being used to build a profile of you that's more accurate than anything you'd ever admit out loud. And you've accepted it. You've clicked, "I agree," on terms of service you didn't read because reading them would take time, and time is the one thing you claim you don't have, even though you've spent hours today doing nothing of consequence. You've traded your privacy for convenience, your autonomy for access, and you've told yourself it doesn't matter because everyone else is doing it too. But everyone else doing it doesn't make it less of a choice. It just makes it a choice you don't have to defend. You've stopped questioning what's real. You see a headline and you react before you've even finished reading it. You see an image and you assume it's genuine because it feels right, because it aligns with the narrative you've already accepted. You've lost the ability to sit with uncertainty, to wait, to verify, to think critically about the information you're consuming, because the system you're plugged into doesn't reward patience. It rewards speed. It rewards engagement. It rewards the instant emotional response, and you've become so efficient at delivering it that you don't even realize you're being trained. You think you're forming opinions, but you're just reacting to stimuli. You think you're staying informed, but you're just absorbing whatever the algorithm decided you needed to see today. And tomorrow it will decide something different, and you'll absorb that too, and you'll never stop to ask why your reality keeps shifting in ways you didn't choose. You're afraid of being left out. That's the foundation of all of this, and you know it. You're afraid that if you disconnect, even for a day, you'll miss something important. You'll fall behind. You'll become irrelevant. You'll lose your place in a conversation that never stops and never meant anything to begin with. So you keep checking. You keep scrolling. You keep refreshing, not because you want to, but because the idea of not doing it makes you feel like you're disappearing. And maybe you are. Maybe the version of you that exists in the feed is the only version anyone sees anymore. Maybe you've spent so much time curating and performing and optimizing your presence that the person you used to be, the one who existed before all of this, is already gone. And maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you've decided that being seen, even if it's by an audience that doesn't really know you, is better than being alone with who you actually are. You're running out of time, and you're spending it like it doesn't matter. Every minute you give to the feed is a minute you'll never get back, and you know this, but you do it anyway because stopping would mean confronting what you're avoiding. You're avoiding boredom. You're avoiding silence. You're avoiding the uncomfortable realization that without the constant stream of content, without the notifications and the updates and the endless scroll, you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. You've forgotten how to be still. You've forgotten how to think without distraction. You've forgotten what it feels like to be alone with your own mind, and the truth is, you're terrified of finding out. And the system knows. It's always known. It doesn't need you to admit any of this because your behavior already has. And now the only real question left is this: will you keep pretending you didn't choose what happens next?